Hey guys, this is Zane here, back at it again with another episode of Watching Monster House every single day with my friends because I want them to. So, I did indeed. I actually did not inherently live watching, but, or I guess that sort of counts as one. My friend and I were both watching the movie at the same time. We didn't do a discussion afterwards because it is late, but I'll get him on within the next day or so we can talk about I guess his likes and dislikes for the movie and some other random topics. But today is an absolutely incredible and monumental day. So today, I guess, is the day that they brought Monster House back to Netflix, which is massive. Now, I mean, I'm not going to say that I had any part in that, but I'd like to imagine that since I've been talking about it so much over the past year, that I maybe secretly had a little bit of a reasoning as to why they wanted to bring it back. Because it was a year and about a month ago when they actually took it off Netflix. Because I remember watching it in, what was it, from like May 12th to 13ish, all the way up until the start of April. I watched it every single day, just at a protest for trying to get this movie to stay on Netflix. I know that wasn't going to stop them from taking it off whatsoever, but it's kind of a funny joke to be like, man, I'll be a dedicated enough fan and we'll stick with it, and it'll be great. And I mean, they still took it off. That's okay. I should have written to the people at Netflix as much as I could, ask if they'd put it back on. But then again, I don't want to be annoying with it. So I could always just make tweets about it and be like, man, I sure hope they bring Monster House back to Netflix. And well, here we are, May 2nd, technically-ish. It probably came back on May 1st, but either way, absolutely massive. And now there's a really easy way to start watching the movie without either having to buy it or stream it online on some creepy site. And also, having watched the movie so many times when they were about to take it off, it reminds me of my sister when they were taking Django off Netflix. So my sister's a really big fan of Quentin Tarantino, and she's a really, really big fan of just Django Unchained for an interest. I don't know particularly why, but hey, if you like a movie, you like a movie. People could be asking me the exact same thing as to why I enjoy Monster House so much. And she even has like some like high quality movie stills on her wall and whatnot, which is pretty cool. Maybe one of these days I'll get that from Monster House. Still really, really debating getting that art book. I think it would be a worthy addition or a worthy pickup. I mean, it's not like it's $100. It's like 150 some pages, and there's no way that you could probably find it anywhere else. So I think maybe I'll pick it up tomorrow. I'm not entirely sure how long the shipping and stuff will be, but I think it'll be 100% worth it if I do pick it up. And for all I know, they could also go into some of the like graphic novel stuff. And I mean, just talking about it makes me be like, you know what? I'd probably be stupid if I didn't pick it up. So I think I might actually end up doing that. But anyways, going back to the Django thing with my sister, she would watch it, and then from what I've been told, she would email Netflix almost every day, asking if they would put the movie back on Netflix. Now, I don't know how long it took for them to put it back on, but I mean, they put it back on eventually. And for context, this is in Canada, so I believe it was on American Netflix pretty much the entire time, especially with Monster House, but just not up here, which is a damn shame. But, I'll find a way to watch it no matter what. But this is a big day. I'll do a celebratory, maybe I'll do a celebratory day one of these days. That might be a good idea. Now, I have no idea what I'm going to do, but hey, I'll figure something out. So when, pretty much the biggest thing that when I watch it with my friend Casper, and like the biggest thing that he pointed out that I had pretty much no thought whatsoever was that Skull is probably actually a drug dealer and definitely is not delivering pizza. And a reasoning for that is, who uses pagers? I don't think they'd use pagers on the job, like, even in the 80s, if you're a delivery man. I don't think they'd, if you're the one delivering pizzas, I don't think they'd page you, especially if you're already in the pizza place. There'd probably be someone telling you to go, or that, like, the pizza's ready. Because he just had the pizza box sitting on top of the arcade game. So when he left, he picked it up and just left. So there's definitely not pizza in the box. And it looks like he kind of gets up and goes whenever he wants. And it's Halloween. Someone's going to be wanting something besides just pizza. And also the car he drives is pretty sick. So I think our best theory is that he definitely is a drug dealer. And also for the fact that he's in a heavy metal band with a guy named Bones. He looks the way he does. And he's not afraid to talk to kids and stuff. I think he might be. I mean, every single like little sign points towards it. So if you don't think so, that's totally okay. And I'm not going to say you're wrong, but I'm at the same time going to be like, I mean, the evidence is like right in front of your face. He's definitely got some side business going on, if not just being a pizza delivery guy. And Z falls for him right away. So, like, I mean, it just makes sense. But besides that, I don't want to go over too many of the things that we either laughed about or joked about in specific things, because, I mean, I can save that for another episode. But one thing for sure, man, Chowder probably would have absolute massive concussions, or is already potentially smooth brain, is already smoother, as has been tenderized from the nice earth itself. As in, like, the last bit, he hits his head on the ground roughly like 4 times. Dude's wild. He's built like a brick. But everyone digs Chowder, and I'm no exception to that. He's definitely up there for one of the best characters. But everyone's likable, especially DJ. Like, that's also what makes the movie so rewatchable, is there's no specific character that's like, man, I cannot stand this person. Like, they bring nothing to the table and they suck. Potentially Bones is that character, but he's in it for such a short amount of time, and he's funny enough as it is. And he progresses the storyline, like, when he's there. It gives them further proof as to the house being alive and everything. So it just makes sense to have him, and I like that. What else do we got? Oh, as I noticed for a lot of the cars and stuff specifically, still sticking with the 1983 look of how, I mean, everything is. I believe a lot of the car designs fit around the time for 1983. And, especially when the kids are planning out their way of doing the house, or, well, not doing the house, but attacking the house, in the background there's a china cabinet with some of those really old-fashioned, like, chinaware. I don't know if that's the proper term for it, but, like, fine china, because it's got the pure white with the, like, blue designs on it around the rim. It's, like, pretty much the most stereotypical fine china that you can buy, that I believe every parent or grandparent has at this point, and you only ever bring it up maybe once or twice a year, specifically for, like, Thanksgiving and maybe Christmas dinner, and no other time is it ever brought out. And that's such a, like, 80s thing. I mean, in the room that I am, like, directly behind me, there is, of course, a china cabinet filled with some china, although the stuff that we have doesn't actually have, like, the blue stuff. But when I'm thinking China stuff, when it comes to porcelain and whatnot, those blue markings are pretty much what I think. Especially with the like udon soup spoons. We have one that has, I believe, a koi fish, and it's blue right in the, I don't know, the spoon part. Like, it's not a bowl, the soup holding area. Anyways, we have like that. So another reason why I think it is most likely the 80s. Now, I think if I watched this movie with my dad and talked about it, I could probably get into a discussion about whether or not the trees are actually trees that you'd find in Mayville. Now, I have no idea what kind of trees these are, but him being somewhat, or that being his pretty much area of expertise, either that or weather, I could definitely ask him that kind of question, and that'd be really funny. So that gives me another idea of someone to get on eventually. It'd be fun to set this up in like a different type of format. I'm excited to see more of things that I can do with this. Because I mean, it seems like I'm already scraping the barrel, but if I can sit here and talk for already about 10 minutes without looking at the time, and I don't feel like I'm dragging things out, I think I'm doing a pretty good job, and I'm having fun with this. But as the past couple days, I'm going to be like, oh, this episode might be a little bit shorter because of other things going on. And that is also definitely the case for tonight, because I stayed up extra late so I could watch the movie with my friend, and we could do a little quick discussion about it. But since the movie did come out, I might have to do a little tweet to Dan Harmon, because there's a really dumb meme going around the internet, and especially with my friend group, about the have you seen season 3 episode 3 of Rick and Morty? I kid you not, he turns himself into a pickle. Funniest shit I've ever seen. And Dan Harmon is the writer on, or one of the writers on Rick and Morty, and he's also one of the writers for Monster House. And a stupid connection that was made was, man, have you seen Monster House? Constance turns herself into a house. I kid you not, funniest shit I've ever seen. And I gotta, for the sake of the memes, I feel like I have to tweet at Dan Harmon and ask if there's an inspiration behind that. There absolutely is none. And there's absolutely no chance that I am gonna get a response out of him. If anything, he'd probably be like, man, why do you like Monster House out of anything? But man's got a meme. Man, and a man's got to live. And I am a man of the finer things in life, such as watching Monster House a lot. No shame, though. I love this movie still. And even if it's like, it sort of started off as a meme, but it was never one of those memes where I'm like, yeah, this movie sucks, and I'm just going to pretend I like it, and I'm going to just shit on it super hard because it's no fun. But nah, this movie's an enjoyable watch every single time. And people that haven't seen it have gotten laughs out of a couple spots. So it works. And I'm also just now noticing from this movie poster, and as per always, I use a background for the YouTube versions, so this might not totally apply. But in the, I believe, even, is it on the box? Oh, it's not on the box art because that box art's a little bit different. But the DJ's left hand, he's wearing a watch. And I don't know if he actually wears a watch in the actual movie or not. So, bam. There's another thing I'm going to have to look out for the next time I watch it. But besides that, I'm pretty sure everything else is pretty consistent. Cheddar's cape, hair, even down to like every character's pants. I didn't even look to see if Cheddar's pants were cuffed over. I'll have to keep an eye on that. Another thing I also noticed was I think Nevercracker has like 10 teeth in total. And man, they do be mangled. And you gotta wonder, where do you think Nevercracker's gonna end up living after all that stuff settles? Do you think the World War II pension stuff for working the demolitions crew pays well? Do you think it's enough to live? Because I mean, for all I know, potentially is. And I mean, he did build the house entirely by himself, so he probably's got some good money saved away. And he doesn't seem like one of those conspiracy theorist people that don't believe in banks. So he probably got some good money stocked up somewhere. Nevercracker do be smart. And, I didn't get an opportunity to discuss, because I'm going to go over a bit of sound design with one of my friends. That's the other one that I had planned. So that should be actually a really entertaining one, because I know very little about sound design in general. So being able to hear I don't know, some maybe more in-depth stuff about that will be a really entertaining topic, because discussing animation and stuff with Cameron was super super fun. As someone that knows, like, indulges in animation stuff a lot for like watching it, I know very very little about any of that type of stuff. But one thing involving animation that I noticed this time, or I guess I've noticed it actually the past couple times, but always forget to write it down, is that it looks like the house is animated on a different frame rate when it's moving in comparison to the kids, but it's in such a way that it works really well. Especially the first time, like, the house starts to, like, when the tree's like attached to the house and it's gonna start chasing. When it does that roar, it seems like it's a little bit more, not jagged. It's not as smooth in comparison to the animation of the kids within the same frame, but it works really, like, really, really well to be an intimidating presence just in that situation. And it's not something I'd inherently like notice right away, but I think if I went back and like kept a tab on how many frames the house had in comparison to Nevercracker and DJ in front of it, I think it would be a bit lower. But it just gives off such a cool look, and I don't know why, but it just works. And it sort of reminds me how, I believe in Enter the Spider-Verse, within the first half of the movie, I think Miles is... I'm not going to do any spoilers for the movie, by the way. I know it came out like 2 years ago, but just in case, for any of those people listening. I believe for the first half of the movie, Miles is filmed or animated in 2 and 4 frames. He's like every other frame, but not starting on the first frame. So he has a little bit of like a jarring look to it. But in the second half of the movie, I believe it swaps over to the first and third frames. That might not be 100% correct, but it still is every other frame, but starting on the first one. And the way you can sort of tell from that is, I believe a lot of main characters in movies are, I don't know, animated within like 1 and 3 frames or something like that, and then the secondary characters are in the other frames, like 2 and 4, alternating. I think that's correct. I can totally be corrected on that, because I'm not super knowledgeable in this areas, and I believe I probably read that offhand somewhere. But I think that's super neat. So if they use that technique here, where the house is filmed on separate frames, like alternating frames from which the main cast in front of it are framed in, that'd be like a super neat technique, and it's like having it done within the same view. It looks really good. And also, I think I would now consider this to be I think for sure I'd consider it to be a monster movie. So going on a bit of a different tangent here, I was watching Tremors earlier tonight with a couple of my friends, which I cannot recommend enough. I've been watching that movie so many times since I was a kid, and I believe that was like my introductory to like just B-tier horror in general, where this one walks on the tightrope line of comedy and horror like perfectly. I think it's what every B horror movie wishes it was, but can never quite get right, on the good mix of either too much focus on horror, where it's like a little too serious, and then not enough comedy, or too much comedy for you to not take it seriously whatsoever. And it hits just the right line for it. So I ended up streaming that through Discord, which, if some of your friends don't have Netflix, you can stream stuff through Discord, and if you have the right sound settings, the volume and stuff should work. But I'd recommend using subtitles on, so they can at least read it. But we watched that with a couple of my friends, and we're discussing like just horror movies and stuff, and realizing budgets on that are super small. But you get a movie like that with some pretty big actors, or a big actor for the time, which was Kevin Bacon. 6 years after Footloose, I think he was still pretty prominent. But that movie, I believe, had a budget of like $10 million in 1990, and they used practical effects and stuff. And you compare that to an animated movie of this being, I think, this was like, I forgot if it was 50 million or 75 million, but it really, showing just the difference in media, how much like more expensive it can be, so I can way more understand a lot of the budget cuts they had to do scene wise. Because I do know there is a couple cut scenes, and I think there might even be a little bit of footage online. I don't even know for sure. There might be some of ooh, crap. Sorry, there's a poster. I still need to check out the special features on the DVD for this, because I haven't gotten around to that, and I almost don't really want to sit in front of my TV with a pen and paper trying to take notes while I'm doing stuff on there, but I might be what I have to do. Unless, no, okay. Had to quickly check on this monitor to see. One of the monitors we have has a DVD drive built into it. This one does not, or neither of the two that I have. And my PC also does not have a disk drive. My old PC did, and I could potentially take it out from that and plug it back in, but that seems like a bit of a nightmare. So I think my best bet is do the special features on DVD, take notes, and write a little, I guess, do an entire episode on that. I could probably even go for an entire episode just based on I think there's director's commentary on it. So that would provide a lot of insight. And the more I've been talking about this movie the past couple days, I've been getting a lot more ideas for stuff to talk about, which isn't what I would have expected. But it's really nice. Sorry, I had to take a little bit of a drink. Man, I do feel bad coming out with these episodes so late, and I still am one behind. But making that episode up feels a lot less daunting right now than it did previously, because I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I gonna have to talk about? But there's still a lot of stuff out there, and I really want to do some research on the whole some behind the scenes for the animation and whatnot, because that could be an entire episode on its own. And I am actually really excited to share a bunch of content with you guys still, for whoever's out there still watching. I say that a lot, but if you're watching this down the road, I'm still this was a really fun little experiment, and if I made it to 30 days, perfect. I've done exactly what I wanted to do, and I'll be proud of myself for that. I would actually, having talked about this gives me another idea. I mentioned watching Godzilla movies before, but just watching a bunch of hidden gems of horror movies or BT horror movies and doing little reviews on them every single day would also be a nice little side project, because it'd be a good way to test waters for, I don't know, just different ways that I can present content. And if all this works out really well in the end, it'd be fun to do some video essays if I could get a camera set up. Although I'm pretty camera shy, so maybe that wouldn't be the best idea. But watching videos like Nakey Jakey stuff and whatnot would be, I don't know, I do a lot of hand gestures and stuff that you obviously can't see behind me or behind the screen here. But I'm a very vocal person using my hands. So sitting here waving my hands and you guys can't see it, or doing little hand gestures, is not as exuberant. So I hope I don't come off as sounding unenthusiastic, but when it comes to being super, super late, I can't exactly talk super, super loud. And especially because the cats always seem to like to invade on me during this time. Peanuts walked into this room a good couple times already and made some cooing noises. What a lovely cat. But anyways, I think I'm going off on tangents about my cats, so I think that's probably a good area for me to wrap things up right here. I had a really good time. I'm a little bit below 30 minutes, but I went on longer than expected. And, actually, just remembered one thing. They had to get a costume designer for this movie. I don't know do animated movies typically have to have costume designers? Because they're not real people, but I guess you have to think of someone that will, I don't know. You have to come up with time period appropriate clothing, and I guess just find stuff for the people to wear. So I guess a costume designer is needed. I didn't notice it until looking at the credits this time around. I'm like, oh, huh, that's pretty neat, especially because it was one person. So maybe I'll do a little bit of research on that. But anyways, now I'm officially going to be ending it. So I hope you guys had a good time listening to this. And I hope you're all having a great day or night, wherever you are in the world. I hope it's a good one. And I guess I'll be seeing you guys tomorrow for another episode where I don't have anything super specifically planned. So we'll just see what happens until then. Have a good one, guys.